Hello, everybody. It's the 23rd of February. God, this year is just flying by. And welcome to my first real show. I'm going to do Tuesdays. I'm going to do shows at about this time, 1 o'clock, about uh, about readings and different things and stuff I get interested in. Thursdays, I am going to open up a show on crystals. And every other week, I will be doing something about crystals, either news about crystals or things I found out about crystals or that kind of stuff. And then beyond that, I'm going to every other week meet with Dr. Gail, and she and I are coming up with a show called Galactic Groundings and Healings, and she's going to be doing her healing thing. But she uses stones from this planet to do that when she's working with her galactic things, because we need to ground your energy back down onto this earth. And so I'm going to start at the very beginning. And if y'all took an earth science class, it's going to sound a little familiar. It may wake up some memories you have about earth science. I can tell you my most infamous thing about earth science was I was in my earth science class when a student runner, I went to a very old high school, a student runner came to our room and told us John Kennedy had been assassinated. That's how long ago it was that I took earth science. So whenever I do these shows, I try to answer your questions and help you. I'm going to try to help you understand. People say, well, why do I have this rock or this crystal? If I'm building a grid, or if they're working with something, which rock is better, which crystal is better? And there is a difference in definition between um, crystals, rocks, and stones. And then there are classifications for where the crystals come from. And that's what we're going to do today. And then after I finish with that, I had 3 people ask me questions. And I've seen Juanita's review. I've seen your question. I'm going to answer that when I get into that part of the show. But to begin with, crystals. That's a crystal. And the reason that's a crystal is because it's a molecular shape that is regularly ordered, and it forms crystalline shapes. That's why where'd he go? I pulled everything out so we could look at it. When you see a quartz crystal with a perfect point on it, it's because all the little crystals underneath have compacted together to make this little point on the top. And yet you'll say, but I have a chunk of rose quartz, and I'm going to get this off the screen right now. But I've seen chunks of rose quartz like this one. That's a rose quartz that doesn't have any points. Well, what happens is the mineral that mixes in the quartz when it's in its igneous state, when it's in its hot state, and makes the pink quartz pink, it changes the crystalline structure, so it can't make points. So when you see there is one place, I think in Brazil, where pink quartz has just enough pink in it to make it pink, but not enough to knock off all the points, the tips on it. But anytime you see a rose quartz pillar or something that's made like a rod with a big pointy point on the top, that was man-made. That's not how it comes out of the ground. But I'm going to add this one to the stage. This is an octahedron. This is a real simple. This would be like one molecule inside of diamonds have octahedrons, I think. Fluorites do. Anyway, that very alignment at its most molecular level is what makes crystals crystals. And also what makes them clear. Most are clear. There are some crystals that are not completely clear, but they should be translucent. And I've got some kind of interesting things that when we go back through and review what I'm talking about, we'll look at that. Rocks. Rocks are natural minerals that can be hard or soft. They consist of one or more minerals. There's very rarely that you'll find a rock that is just one mineral in it. But they're the basic molecule that makes up that rock is not orderly. It's not set up like a crystal. It doesn't come from that world at all. And then stones. Stones are um, stones are non-metallic single mineral sort of things. And or the other definition I've read of stones is they're mixes of minerals that come together and they get squashed together through metamorphosis or something else, and they come out and you have stones. And so you'll have like, this is a tiger's eye. You can see the different sort of tiger's eye qualities. And it's been tumbled and it's been formed by man. But this is a tiger's eye, and it's a stone. Minerals are naturally occurring substances that have crystalline structures, but they can be metallic, like gold and silver and a lot of other things you'll see, where you'll see them and they grow up and they almost look like plates, or that's how they come out. They can come out in their purest form out of the ground. All minerals that are like silver and gold and the precious ones, those are all crystals really, but we just don't lump them with crystals because they're not translucent. And there's three main ways that rocks are made. And the first one is sedimentary, and it's what you think. It's a stone that forms in the dirt, and the layers of dirt just keep building up on each other. A lot of fossils are found in sedimentary rocks. This one you can kind of see when you roll the rock around, all the different, and this was formed in a river. This comes from a river in Montana that people say has very powerful, strong rocks, and it was given to me as a gift. This is another sedimentary rock, and as you can see the layers of sediment in it when you look at it. And it's got, like, for some reason, there was a white streak that came here, and then there's darker streaks. That's a sedimentary rock. Another kind of rocks is igneous. And igneous rocks are made in volcanoes. Now, this is tourmaline, and this is very common. This came out of a volcanic tube in California. And these are good guardian stones. They're good grounding stones. They're really heavy. And this sits by my front door and just sort of keeps bad energy out. I'll go away, whoever you are. I don't want to talk to you. Okay. Now, a metamorphic rock is a piece of apatite. And you can see there's lots of different sorts of minerals in there. It sort of looks like a pudding. And it got, through pressure, heat, and other things, it became a metamorphic rock. And then those were all made from inorganic compounds. Now, we have minerals. Well, the one that I know the best is amber. This little bitty piece of amber, this was originally a piece of pine tar, pine sap, and somewhere long time ago, somewhere near the Baltic Sea. And what happened is that this amber got crushed and got heated and got cooled and got everything. This amber is lighter. It will actually float on water. And that's actually how they harvest amber in the Baltic seas. When they have little earthquakes down below, the amber breaks loose from where it's been embedded and it floats to the top, and they literally go out with fishing nets and gather the amber up. That's the most famous way to get amber. Amber is also found under the ground. They find huge sections of it. And you've also probably already seen, if you ever watched Jurassic Park, where they found a bug in the amber. And they do find bugs. They find um, incredible things that really help them identify uh, the fauna, the plant. Excuse me. I still have a little bit of postnasal drip. This is also an organic. It started out as organic. It's wood. This is a chunk of petrified wood. And if you could see it, you'd see it feels like wood. It has the kind of consistency. On the top is wood. It has layers like wood. And there's whole forests that are petrified, and that's where the minerals came in after the trees were down, but before the tree rotted out of its form, it got mineralized and it became a chunk of a stone. These stones that are from organic matter that's been kind of formed in my world, we call those the ancestor stones because they come from something that was once alive on this planet and it became a crystalline form. Now everybody says, "Oh my God, are we ever going to get out of this science class?" Yes, you are. There's a few things I'd like to show you. I'm going to show you over on the table. Let me see. What's the chat looking like? Yeah, Cactus Smithy's been here since the beginning. Okay. I'm going to go through and try to knock out some of these myths for you guys. And okay, Terry, you have an appetite, and then you didn't spell it right either, so it's got an A in there, an extra A in there. Hi, Angla. Angla, I need to send you a thing so we can discuss the article you sent to me. Okay, we're going to go over to the table, and I'm going to show you some samples of different sorts of how the same stone can really look completely different. There's a stone called obsidian, and this stuff is sharp. This is volcanic glass. It cools so quickly, it doesn't even have time to really make crystalline things. I have actually cut pieces of paper with this piece of obsidian. It's very, very, very sharp. But what I didn't know for the longest time, I thought obsidian was black. Little did I know. And I found out there's all sorts of shades of obsidian, and they all have their own meanings. Like this deep green, it's like a deep emerald green obsidian. It promotes loving relationships, can be used to heal tensions between parents and children and between estranged members in a family. So if you can find some, I'd never heard about there being different colors of obsidian. And 2 weeks before I went to Denver to visit a friend of mine, I saw a psychic from England talking about it. And she was talking about how she used different colors of obsidian to help her. This is yellow. I know it doesn't look that yellow. It almost looks clear. But it actually is very, very yellow. And it's for someone who doesn't feel ready to pursue their true path. It's there to open up your third eye and your solar plexus, but to give you a warm and calming energy. And we have indigo. And this is the one that the reader in England was talking about. It's indigo. It's most incredibly intense blue, and that's how it comes out of the mountain. And it comes out in glass shards like that. And it assists in breaking down barriers of closed doors so you can discover the truth within your own soul. And that's what her whole thing was about, was opening up your own soul. It brings peace and calm to help you connect with your own self spiritually. It's a third eye chakra stone, brings clarity when meditating. And I've meditated with each of these, and they really are. When you can almost think of them like chakra colors. And then there's this Obsidian, and it's just a sky blue. And I love this one. It enhances all forms of communications, blocks negativity. The blue color of the Obsidian is very close to spiritual properties. People who use an Obsidian stone seem more interested in religious things, and that can be the effect of the Obsidian properties. So I'm just telling you, I found these in a rock shop in Denver. I think you can find them online. I know that I took this to my local rock shop, and there's a way they can shine light through it and see if it's real glass or if it's mineralized form of glass, obsidian. And these are all real obsidians. And that gets into one of the questions we got today. How can you tell a real stone from a fake stone? Well, there's a lot of things rock shops can do. The first thing I always tell people is go to a rock shop that you think you can trust. The one I go to, it marks on each of the bins if something's been altered in any way, shape, or form. And let's see what else. Oh, I was going to show you. Remember that big chunk of blue black stone I held up that I said was really hard? That's tourmaline. This is also tourmaline. This is watermelon tourmaline, and it's the most gorgeous pink. The color, or some people call it pink tourmaline. True watermelon tourmaline looks like a watermelon. It's got a rim, a green edge on it, and it's got this pink in the center. And I have this matched up with the malachite heart. And when I used to read out in public, I would wear this because this is an incredible tourmaline period is an incredible protection stone. This is a really good protection stone. And malachite helps you communicate, and it shines a positive light out. So like draws like, and that's what you get from it. I have a lot of jewelry that I wear for those sorts of reasons, except I never leave and go anywhere, so I don't have any reason to wear them. Now, we've talked about rocks that are made on the earth. I'm going to show you. It's a pendant, and it's very, very, very dark. Very, very dark and shiny. It's called shungite. And shungite is actually a mineral that was formed on this earth, but it came from they figure it was a giant asteroid that hit in a certain part of China. It created a huge amount of this stone. This is 99.9% carbon. It's very, very, people get shungite. I have a shungite egg, and people put shungite eggs next to their computers because shungite, because of the carbon amount, it can help you eat up radiation and stuff like that. And it also, if you grind it up, you can run it through, and it'll purify the water. And then I have this, and this was done for me by a friend of mine. It's got a geode. It's got a piece of pink watermelon tourmaline. It's got a piece of moldavite, which, if you know about moldavite, it's the stone, something like what happened in China, but it's an area of near Germany and Czechoslovakia. Moldova's there. Right? And it makes this stone that's supposed to be very powerful. Some people can't wear moldavite. It has so much power in it. Now, my friend who designed this gave me stones to help control it. It's got a little bit of shungite, a little bit of pink tourmaline, a really nice little geode, if you can see in the center of the geode, and the top is amethyst, which is always good for everything that ails you. So that's the stones I wanted to show you. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. Okay, yeah, we're going to go to the questions and we're going to keep the camera where it is because I pulled some stones for these people. Thank you, Mimi Nee. I'm glad you're excited for the show. And Patty Sylvan Butterfly. What would be a good strong stone for? Hysterectomy, cancer treatment, or general health and recovery? Well, when I went looking for the hysterectomy, the first thing I got was amethyst, and that's purple. It doesn't show very well on my camera. I don't have the world's best camera, but that it doesn't have to be that big. It can be a small wand of amethyst. Amethyst, in case you didn't figure it out, it's just quartz that got purple. The minerals that make things purple, and so it's really a quartz, but it's great for that. And then the other thing it suggested that when I was looking through my books was rose quartz. Now your rose quartz doesn't have to be that big either. I just was fortunate enough to have friends that gifted me with this. Your rose quartz could be as small as this, and this is sort of the things I suggest you look for in the rock shop. You can go buy a whole bag of these, and this is just the tail ends of the bag. I think about a half pound of these cost about $10. And they also have them where you can buy them as singles. I obviously buy them as giants because I make them into grids. And you can carry this kind of stone in your pocket to help protect you. I have a lot of little amethyst wands floating around my house, floating around my crystal place. The other thing I'll tell you is if you're looking for a particular stone and you can't seem to find it, but those would be the two. They also suggested moonstone, and I just don't happen to have a good sample of that to show you what it looks like. This is something I can suggest to you. If you're thinking about working with a stone and you just can't for some reason find it, look in the fluorites in your area. These are all fluorites. And I use fluorites a lot of times to help when I really want a chakra color more than anything else. And I'll find them, and you can find everything from green to pink to dark. I don't think I've never not seen a color, even an orangey looking one, which is this one broke. This is the problem of leaving stones hanging around each other. They will knock into each other and they will break. And I do that a lot. I'm sorry, stone, you're broken. But this is purple, and there's pinks here, and there's a darker purple, and there's greens, and there's light blues. So don't overlook fluorites if you're looking for sort of you want to work with a chakra color. That'll help. And let's see what else. Singing Tree is going to watch us on the replay. Thank you. And if you're watching me now and you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps. It helps my channel. It helps me get spread out to other people. And I do, honest to God, work hard on these shows. Let's see, where did the other piece go? And then let's see. And Lakotis wanted to know crystal that is best to keep on hand for good positive energy and for her health. And the best stone, and it looks teeny tiny, but this is a powerful stone. This is a citrine. And citrines, real citrines, some citrines almost look like a yellow quartz, which is what it is. It just got called citrine. But the legend of citrines, and it's one of the first stones I ever bought. The legend of citrines are in the Middle Ages, no merchant would have a store or a booth or anything without having citrine because of its gold color. It was presumed that it would draw positive energy to you. It works for health. It works for everything else. It's really, really, really important. And this is a yellow gold citrine and you can see that's not been tumbled or anything else, but they're just beautiful colors. And I have another citrine that, no, this is a calcite. I'm sorry. I have another calcite. This is a weird stone. This is in when people couldn't figure out how the Vikings got from where Vikings start all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, because there just are periods of land. You can follow up along Greenland and all that stuff so far, and then you're kind of out in the sea, and that's not a part of the sea where the skies are particularly clear. They didn't have sextants. They didn't have anything like this. If you take this stone, because it came out of certain kind of mountains in that area, and you put it, and it's a cloudy day, and you hold it, and you keep spinning it until you'll get 2 images of the sun. When you get where there's 1 image of the sun, they know how to do this. I don't, but they would look at this crystal and they would know which way was west. And this stone's very important. I mean, crystals do all kinds of incredible stuff that we don't need them to do that anymore, but they did. So let's see what else we got. That's the end of the people who wrote in their questions. So now I'm going to go into the comments. And I'm going to get me out of here. Here we go. And I'm back. Okay. One of the first questions today was Juanita's review. Said, how can I tell reals from fakes? And that would be good to know. I'm going to do a whole show on that. I did a whole show on that a long time ago. And the reason it came up was a client of mine that I had just built a grid for, she'd found a beautiful ruby ring, but the guy said, I have to tell you that it's been altered slightly. And I'll tell you about ruby rings. There's lots of different ways, and there are lots of different crystals out there that are not as legit as others. But what they found was rubies are a very fragile stone. They have a lot of flaws flowing through them. So do emeralds and so do sapphires. They're all like that. But in the case of the ruby, the red that's in a natural ruby is the same red that they use to make stained glass windows. So there's some way that they lightly coat the ruby with the stained glass. Doesn't change the color of the ruby, doesn't change the molecular structure below the red glass, but it super strengthens the rubies. So I went looking for her, and I ended up talking to some guy at some gemologist group in New York. And he said they consider them, they have to let you know there's been a man-made alteration to it. But he said, as far as when they look through with their little their little lenses and stuff, they can tell it's got the red glass on it, but it makes it stronger. So that ring's much more likely to last. And when I talked to some people who use stones spiritually that were part of that world, they said they didn't feel that it changed the molecular structure of the stones. Now there's a lot of, I'll get into that in the other story, but there's a lot around opals that can be problematic when you're looking at that sort of stuff. Yeah. Okay. Okay, a person told me not to place obsidian in a room. If it's true, where can you place it? In my room, maybe at your bedroom. I don't know why. Obsidian's a protector stone. My big obsidian is upstairs right now in my daughter's room because she's doing a lot of work from home and she wanted to keep the space around here clear for when she sleeps at night. She likes to have a delineation between the two worlds. And that's the stone I bought 45 years ago. And I gave it to my husband, and he had it until he died. And then well, it was mine then. Um, but, and I used to have that in my bedroom. I have no problem with obsidian. The one thing you might want to watch out for having in your bedroom is a crystal that's got like a clear point on the end. I don't have a bunch of them out here. How bad of me. Here's a better one. You can see the point that's on the end of it because those points are looking for your third eye to connect to. So if you put a whole bunch, now you may have a bunch of stones that are like this amethyst in your bedroom and you're sleeping just fine. That's true, sleep just fine. But supposedly spiritually, if you want to activate your third eye, you're using stones like this. And I think the last thing you want to do is if your third eye starts really opening up at night, is to have a bunch of pointed stones ready to leap their energy into your body. So, and then here's another person's comment on obsidian. It's really a powerful stone. The one thing I will tell you about obsidian is unless it's tumbled, its edges, the Native Americans used to use it to do surgery. They're that sharp. You can cut skin and cut things with it really easily. So I heard obsidian helps shield people from negativity. And that's true. I had a friend who went to work in it was just a strange place. And she wanted to carry something into her office. So I put together a bag for her because we talked about what the issues were and how she felt. And I know her well enough. I can do that just in talking with her. And I gave her some stones. I gave her some lovely blue stones to calm her down. But I gave her not a huge wonk of obsidian, but it was pretty good. And she just put it on her desk and it looked just like a desk decoration. And then every day she said the violet flame, which you can find on my website at www.crystaldirections.com. And okay. So that's my website. There's a book there. There's a folder there that's full of interesting things to help you. And one of them is the Violet Flame, which is a protective prayer to help you get rid of negative energy around you. You not only get rid of the negative energy, you send it up to heaven. You get it kind of reworked and then it gets sent back to you. So you're not losing energy, you're keeping it. But anyway. I don't know, Prince Charming Mom. You were talking to the world's worst psychic for finding things. I'd talk to whoever your favorite guide is and ask them if they can find it. And I'll ask my daughter, because she's real good at that, if she senses anything, and I'll let you know. I know how to reach you. Yeah. Oh, size doesn't matter. You can, I mean, if you have a big stone, yeah, they're impressive and people give them to me as gifts. But as I keep telling people, um, I read with Scott Allen on Sundays, and he has a piece of selenite, a a long, thin piece of selenite, and it's huge. I mean, it doesn't fit on the screen, at least the way I would be holding it right now. And I have little bitty selenites, and mine are energetically every bit as good. So I tell people size doesn't matter when I build them grids. It's the stone, it's the energy of the stone, and it's how you link them together. And we're going to get into more of that as these things go on. Thank you very much, Juanita. Very sweet. Stone for menstrual cramps. I'd look at if you can find a small moonstone. They're easy to carry. They also have a lot of Rory stones. Those are the ones you rub your thumb into out of moonstone, and that can help build that energy up. Rose quartz, anything that will calm you down. Let's see. This was Care Bear's comment. Also, any stone that relates to the sacral chakra, and I like carnelian for that, which is a really pretty orange stone, and I thought I had one out here. Maybe I can find you an image of carnelian. Okay, this I don't have it. It's one more shot at this, kids, and then we're going to pack it up. I have a really good book. It's called The Modern Guide to Crystal Healing by Julia. Her name is Julia Von Doren. And let's see. Carnelian. Okay, this is a picture from her book. Let me see if I can get this. This is hard to do because my face. Okay, there they are. Those are carnelian, and they can be everything from a very deep red to an orange to a light orange. As you can see in this, they're quite light. But the difference between a carnelian and a jasper is carnelians are translucent and jaspers are not. Jaspers are metamorphic stone. And you can see my big red jasper behind me. And jaspers protect. Jasper is another one for that helps settle body parts. Good night's sleep. Pretty much all the blue ones. Turquoise. Apatite. Those sorts of stones. And of course, the all-time #1 hit that gets you every time, it'll cover you for everything, is clear quartz. This is a clear quartz, and because I can't backlight it, you can't see what's most interesting about it. When I first got this, it was relatively clear. You could really see everything, it was nice, but there was a couple of little refractions in it. Now this thing is just riddled with refractions. And every time we go through a major universal shift, it gets refractions in it. So I can't wait to see what happens, because the solar eclipse is going to pass right over my house. So I can go out in my driveway. I don't have to drive anywhere and see it. Okay, stone to relieve vertigo. I think if I was to do anything, I'd find super grounding things. Tourmaline, things that super attach into the ground. Big or small, or The Abyssinian that I showed. And this, where you live, Mary, I mean, your crystal shops will have all this stuff. And I I prefer for people if they can go out, if they're if they're not locked in their house for some weird reason, I advise them to go to the crystal shop and look for themselves. But you can, uh, if you go in there, you'll feel, and you may find another stone that makes you feel more centered and makes you lets you feel less swirly. Um, Nancy cast. Yeah, I had never heard about it either until a lady called me and said, "Is this true?" And I ended up in this whole rabbit hole that I will take you through on one of the shows about all the precious gems and how to be able to tell what's what and what they look like and what the values are on them and all that good stuff. Okay, and hypnicity. I have a Tektite, Moldavite, and Herkimer diamond. It's either on my neck or next to me. That's an incredible combination. If y'all, a Tektite, actually Moldavite is a Tektite, sweetie. Any stone that is created by action that comes from outside the earth is a Tektite. So if you get a little chunk of a meteor, it's Tektite. And meteors come in two ways. There's crystalline meteors, and they're lighter. But the iron meteors that come from wherever iron meteors come from, I don't know. But that is very heavy. I went to a lecture once by the Meteorite Men, and those are the two guys that used to be on one of the channels, and they tracked all over the world looking for meteors. And it was a just fascinating show. But what was more fascinating was it was a gallery, and it was selling all this Tektite material and all these pieces of jewelry that incorporated Tektites. Moldavites. Moldavite, I told you, that comes from near Moldova. It's in Germany, Czechoslovakia. It's kind of looks like a not green enough 7-Up bottle, and it's kind of rough. And Herkimer diamonds are the purest quartz in the world. And the best Herkimer diamonds come from Herkimer, New York. And the way I found out about Herkimer, New York was I was reading for a young woman when that was still part of what I did with my life. And she was a young attorney. She'd really just zoomed up in her career. All these things were falling in place. And it all showed in the cards. And I said, "You're doing really well." And when she stood up to leave, I said, "With this jump in income, how are you investing it?" And she said, "Oh, my family has an accountant that we've used. We've worked with us forever." And she said, "I'm thoroughly confident that he knows how to help me navigate this." And I said, "Good. That all sounds great." And then she came back about 2 months later, and she handed me a small little sack, and they were clear quartz crystals. Where is it? Oh, as clear as my Obsidian crystal one. I mean, just absolutely clear, just not a flaw in them at all. They were smaller than that, but they were absolutely gorgeous. And I said, "Oh, that's lovely." And she said, "Well, I thought you could use them because I used to have a lot of little crystals on my desk. I still have those crystals." And she said, "I wanted to thank you." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Did you see something in the cards?" I said, "I see a lot of stuff in the cards. Do you want to define the something I'm supposed to have seen?" And she said, "Yes." That when she got home that night, she thought about it. She said, "Oh, we've known this guy since forever, and he's our friend." And then she was in her office the next day, and she mentioned it to a friend of hers. And he said, "Well, I have a friend, and his whole job is to audit how people are handling your retirement account, your monies." And he said, "It's really, you're a good attorney. You understand, you protect yourself. You really ought to go and have him hire him to look at your stuff. It's not expensive. So she thought, well, she kind of talked to her dad, and her dad said, I'm not going to tell you how to run your life. You need to do things you need to do. So she ended up hiring this guy to go in and look and see what this man was doing with her accounts. And he was skimming from her accounts. And she said she was shocked as anything when she found out, but the guy proved it to her what it really was. That's the first Herkimer diamond I ever saw. It was from her. And if you're in upstate New York, there are places where you can go mine Herkimer diamonds. They're not used up by any means. I'm not going to go into Lemurian crystal right now, Sherry. It's a thing unto itself. And I don't want to try to recall from the backs of my memory, but I'll put it in for my next show in 2 weeks, and I'll add that question. The Spaniards had guns. It doesn't surprise me. They just shot them. You know, I tell you what, I think Abyssinians absolutely marvelous for carving up things and cutting things up, but it's like, you know, you don't take a knife to a gunfight. Okay, I have a chakra wand. What do I do with it? Come next week, and I'll put that in the questions that Dr. Gail and I go through next week, because she does more with chakras and crystals than I actually do. I just know that when I'm interested in crystals, that they tell me where they want to go in grids. We'll get into some more of that, and then Nancy Cast. Are you coming down for the eclipse, girl? I read that you were. I have a selenite heart that I meditate with. Selenite is incredibly soothing. Selenite's one of those odd crystals. If you want to cleanse your selenite crystal, don't put it in water, because selenite is just very, very, very hardened salt from the seas, and any amount of really protect it from any kind of water exposure, because they will melt, even though it seems impossible when you look at them. Herkimer diamonds are good for dreams. Okay. Oh, okay. We're getting advice on vertigo. Yeah, I've heard that that's very good for it too. I never knew that. Thanks. Moldavite. Yeah, hypnicity. Moldavite is very expensive. Yes, it is. And when I go into stones that are the most imitated, and how to make sure you get the right one, that's one of the most commonly manufactured stones. Okay. How do I cleanse these crystals? I use sound. I have a little long bell thing, and I'll just clap over them. Or I don't sage much, because I'm too allergic to the smoke. I never know which kind of smoke's going to trigger it off. But everybody should know, when you get crystals home, you may be so attracted to it in the store, but when you get it home, you need to find a place to isolate it. And you need to cleanse it before you start using it, because you never know where that stone's been. Okay. Yeah, you know how to reach me, Nancy Cast. She's going to be here for the solar eclipse. We'll try to get together. Get ready for a traffic jam. I mean, the state of Texas has some counties that are rural counties that are already saying, all these people can come see our solar eclipse. I think that actually has more to do with the fundamentalist preachers not wanting people out there looking at it, but that's okay. Tibetan singing bowl. That's what I have. But whatever you have will work. I will do a whole show on all the ways to clean your crystals. And I'm going to do a show on crystal confusion, which is if you know you use this crystal to calm down and you have this crystal to wake you up and you set the both of them beside your bed, what do you think is going to be happening all night? So I'm going to try to go into some, how to keep your crystals mixed together. It's like the necklace I showed you that had the moldavite and all that. That was very carefully thought out because I know a woman who works with crystals spiritually now, but she was a geologist as a young woman. You're going to sit in a hot tub and watch the eclipse? Wow. Okay. That was a man-made stone, and it was set to react to our body's skin temperature very, very quickly. So, but I have no idea. Mood rings go all the way back to, I was reading tarot, but I wasn't reading crystals. So. And we have one more person about vertigo. So thank you, Julie M., Wisconsin. Because Mary could probably use the help from what I've heard. Anyway, I'm going to close it off. I'm going to tell you that next week it will be Dr. Gale, and the session will be closed. It's called Galactic Grounding and Healing. And she and I are I'm going to work with the stone end of it. She's going to be working with her, talking to her galactic influences. And it's for healing that's tying you to this earth. So anyway, with that, I want to thank everyone for having come. I hope I made it clear as mud about what's the difference between a crystal and mineral, a stone and a rock. But there actually is a very important difference, and you can feel it when you're working with them. And everybody else, take care. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next week on Tuesday about just about anything, and on Thursday, crystals. Bye.